Okay, so let's get going tonight. We've got some great questions to work on tonight, and let's get started with the first one. Mr. Naylor, and here we go. Which of these in the last 3 years would cause a sales agent application to be denied? A, an infraction for possession of a controlled substance. An infraction is, it's not a misdemeanor. It's like, well, I got pulled over for a infraction the other while back, and it was, I didn't renew my license. I have this old beater car that we keep around as an extra car, and it was like 3 months out of the renewal, and I didn't catch it. So I'm driving it around one day because my other car was in the shop, and they don't give loaners. So anyway, the cop pulled me over and wrote me up. He said, "This is an $50 in addition to registering the car, but whatever." Anyway, that's an infraction. B, a misdemeanor for public intoxication. C, a misdemeanor for dishonesty. And D, a misdemeanor for DUI. Now, all these things are serious, but right off the bat, you would be denied for which one of these, do you think? What would they really be concerned about?
The misdemeanor for dishonesty.
And that is correct answer. See, so your instinct is great. I mean, the others are not good either if there's a lot of repetition there. For example, one DUI could probably explain that away one way or another, but multiple DUIs, it's not going to be good. But anyway, what they're really concerned about is they want, they're concerned about your integrity, not if you got, imbibed too much one night or whatever. But if it's a habit, if you've had a lot of DUIs, it's not going to be good either. But on the test, that's the glaring right one. And normally when you're working these questions, you might figure, well, let me see, these are all pretty serious, but maybe I can eliminate this one and that one. Like B and D are similar in that they both involve alcohol. If you threw those two out, then you got a 50-50 chance between A and C, so that'll become more clear as we go through these questions. But you got it right off the bat, so it's just perfect. You did great. Let's look at number 2. A broker's license application requires licensing fees, including a fee for what? The Association of Realtors, A. B, the Department of Commerce Employee Trust Fund, Trust. C, Errors and Omissions Insurance, or D, Education Research and Recovery Fund. Correct answer for this one is D, Education Research and Recovery Fund. The Association of Realtors, a realtor is a copyrighted club that we join. It's the we have the National Association of Realtors, the Utah State Association of Realtors. So you'd be joining those two. Plus, where do you live?
North Salt Lake. You said I'd be joining them, but they're a club. Is it a required
no
membership?
No, but the only way you can get access to the MLS is by being a realtor. So, we're kind of locked into doing it. If you're going to be selling a lot of residential, if you're working commercial, it may not be that important to you. But you will probably join national, state, and a board, a state, a board in North Salt Lake. You would probably join the Salt Lake board, right, Dan? Or would he join the board that you were on the board of directors for?
North Salt Lake is in the purview of Salt Lake City, so Salt Lake board.
Yeah, that's what I thought. So, so it's not the Association of Realtors. You don't have to join it. I mean, you could just have a license, but it's going to be difficult to operate. I mean, will you be doing residential real estate or commercial or leasing or property management? What are you working for?
At this point, it would be residential.
Okay. Well, if you're going to do residential, you're going to need access to the MLX, the multiple listing service lockboxes, which are hanging on doors or gas meters or other things that let you get in and out of these houses to show them. And the only way you can get access to the MLS is by joining those 3 associations.
Gotcha.
Okay. And there's fees involved. That's why we have a beautiful 5-story office building that's all paid off. They're a little mercenary on the fees. The MLS they just went up a little bit. Isn't it like $49 a month or something, or $39?
Yeah,
No, it's 4. Yeah. Dan, what is it now? Do you remember?
I don't remember, but it's around there, 39.
Yeah. It just hits my account, an auto pay. I don't even pay attention to it, but there is an annual dues to the Salt Lake Board of about $700, 600 and change, $700. And then that dues also that number also includes your state and national dues as well, and a couple hundred, $250 application fee. So anyway, yeah, but if you do the math, good grief, it's hard to find a house for $400,000 in the Valley. I've got one. I've been trying to find one for my granddaughter. We're having a heck of a time. More like $450, and people are paying more than the list price for homes anyway. So, a $500,000 sale, if you're on, get a 3% commission and get a decent split from your broker, you'll be getting about, $9,000 or $10,000 for every deal, so you can play around with the math. It's kind of fun, but even if you just sell 10 houses a year, you're making over $100,000.
Yeah.
Okay. I sold 58 houses my first year. Of course, that was back in 1977. They were a lot cheaper. Second year did 98. Okay, let's look at number 3. Nothing special about me either. You can do really well if you just work. If a real estate licensee is convicted of perjury, what must they do? Notify the real estate division, cease to practice real estate, change to a new brokerage, refund commissions on your last transaction. Yeah, you're not going to refund your commission, so forget about that. Changing brokerage, it wasn't the brokerage that was convicted of perjury, it was you. What good is that going to do? So you can eliminate those 2. So you're down to notify the division or cease to practice real estate. What would your best guess be?
Say notify the division of real estate.
Yeah, you got to notify them.
So I actually, and admittedly, I'm a novice here at this. I didn't know there was a division of real estate. Is that a state entity?
Yes, it is. The division of real estate is a department of the Division of Commerce. So the Division of Real Estate is part of the Department of Commerce. That's the state entity that it is, and they're the ones that regulate all our licensing. They're the ones that have investigators come out and make sure you're doing things right. They're the ones that will enforce the rules and regulations, and the division has commissioners. Yes, because you haven't taken the Utah law class. That's great. This will be a good introduction to it. So the division also has 5 commissioners, and these are people that are working in the industry. One of them is outside the industry, usually a lender or a title company guy, but the other 4 are licensees. Usually brokers, but you don't have to be a broker. You could be a sales agent and be on the commission. You're appointed by the governor with the approval of the state senate. So it's a quasi-political thing. Usually it's people that have been around for a while and maybe even served on the board of directors for the the different boards. Because there's a board in Park City, there's a board in Salt Lake, there's a board in Provo, Orem area, there's one up in Weber County, there's one in Logan, there's one in St. George. There's the different local boards that you can join that are all part of the state association. But the division is governmental. Any of these associations, like the realtor groups, that you might get in trouble, on an ethics complaint or something, and they might fine you $250 or $500 or something, but that's private. It's not public at all. But the division they publish a newsletter quarterly, and in the newsletter they have all the different sanctions that they've done and all the fines that they've levied, and it's public. And of course that's on the internet now. So, if you get in trouble, for something like this, people start Googling your name, it's not going to help your career much. You're going to have, go ahead.
Is our license actually from this division of real estate, or is it from DOPL, the Department of Public Licensure?
No, it's issued by the Division of Real Estate.
Okay.
And it mentions the state of Utah, and the chain, it's issued by the Division of Real Estate. And they also govern a state mortgage license, and they also, and there's a department that does insurance, for like title insurance or homeowners or life insurance, but that's also under the Division of Commerce. So the Division of Commerce is much bigger. It has all these little smaller divisions, and the real estate division is one of them.
Gotcha.
Okay. And they're really nice people, but you don't want to be convicted of perjury. So anyway, let's look at number 4, please. After completing the pre-licensing course, how many months do you have to apply for your real estate license? 6, 12, 18, or 8?
No idea. I heard someone say they took a while to get their license, so it seems like quite
6 months is pretty quick. The correct answer is B, 12 months. I mean, I'm not going to, let you twist in the wind, because you haven't taken the Utah law test yet, but in a class and the quizzes we give you, but that's a long time. I mean, but the nice thing is, a lot of agents think that, well, I passed the test, I have to pick a broker right away. And you really don't. You might want to do something else for a bit, or maybe you're just not ready to get in real estate, but you have time to take the class and get the test. Now, another option you could do, and I personally would recommend this, as soon as you pass the test, if you're not ready to engage in the business immediately, then you can send in your application for licensing and request that you go inactive. So you don't have to have a broker. You don't have to join the Association of Realtors. You don't have to do anything. But you can't do anything on an inactive license either. But you go into inactive status, and because this 12 months could slip up on you, or I mean, who knows? So at least you pass the test, and all you have to do at that point, if you're inactive, is if it's like 6 months or some shorter period, you just have to choose a broker and then get activated. If it's years, okay, then you're going to have to take some CE credit classes in order to become updated on law changes and that type of thing. And the division will tell you which classes they want you to take usually.
Question. So you're talking about the time frame from when I get my license to when
the time frame from after you pass the course. So
right. So that's for the question, but you were given information for getting a license versus being employed with a broker. Is there a difference between the two?
No.
Okay.
Now, you complete your pre-licensing course, and you need to go in and take the exam as quickly as you can, because quite frankly, you only load this stuff up in short-term memory. There's just too much information, and so what happens is, and you want to take your course as quickly as you can too. I mean, we have a lot of students that stretch this out over a long period of time, and by the time they're ready to take the exam, it was like 9 months ago that they took some of their classes and they've forgotten that information. So it just makes it harder. Now, we do have review quizzes and tests, and we have these live reviews too that we can help you with. But and quite frankly, I'm willing to help you anytime, and so's Dan. You can just call me. I've even worked with several students just recently, helping them get through the exam, and we even met up at the library and did some cram sessions. And there's no charge for any of that. I'm just happy to help, and so is Dan. And we want to keep our passing rate up at the school, which quite frankly is very phenomenal. You know, we've even been called by the division, called us up on several occasions and said, you know, I don't know what you're doing over there, but everybody seems to pass your test almost every single month. And usually the passing rate for our state could be as low as 50% to 67%, you know, and that's not good. I mean,
Right.
either they're not updating their information on a timely basis, or they're just not explaining things very well, or they're not giving the help that you need. But you picked a great school. Let's go to
So,
number 5, please.
Real quick with the school. The school is synonymous with a pre-licensed course, because I've seen that terminology a couple times.
Okay,
School is
yeah.
a pre-licensed course. Then you take the tests to get the license, but
Yes,
you can't practice until you're associated with a brokerage.
that's correct.
Okay.
You're a sharp cookie. Okay. All the schools in Utah that do pre-licensing have to be licensed as a real estate educational entity by the Division of Real Estate. In other words, they have to meet very stringent requirements in order to even offer these classes to the general public. Okay.
Okay.
Now there's YouTube videos and there's other things out there that, you know, will help you through the real estate exam, and that's fine, particularly if you're only talking about national topics, because they're all pretty much the same from school, you know, I mean, from one state to another. But if you're talking about Utah law, you know, and then some of those videos could be quite aged or old. You know, the laws change on a regular basis, so you want to get current information.
Right.
You know, it's like we used to have the ability to give a thank you gift to people that, you know, might refer someone to us, you know, and that was capped out at $50, and then it went to $100, $150. Now it's $250. Well, if you're looking at some old information, probably all those numbers will be A, B, C, or D. And if you studied the wrong information, you're going to get a wrong answer, which, you know, if you're sharp, it won't kill you. Because like I said, you know, you can miss 20 some questions on the national exam and still pass, you know, but you don't want to do that. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go to number 5, please.
Is it a pass fail? Do they give you a score?
No, they won't tell you what your score is, but you have to get a 70%.
Okay.
But, you know, and they'll tell you, well, you passed. Well, that's great. You know, what was my score? We don't tell you your score. So you can tell everyone you got 100. I don't care, you know. But yes, so we have a school test too, which is very helpful for you to work with. But you take our schooling, you put in your hours, you take the school test, you pass that, then you register to go take your exam, which is administered by a big national company. And you know, you take it on a computer. There's different places where you can go to take it, but you know, sometimes it takes a week or so to get into it. You want to schedule that, you know, early on, but not crazy early on. But as soon as you're ready to take it, you want to call them up and make sure you can get scheduled in. And then you go in and you take it, and then they send those results to the division, and then eventually you send your application in. Most people license right away. You know, they start right away. But I'm just telling you, if you don't have to. And it is a test question. You may very well see that you have how many months after you pass the test to apply for your license? 12.
Cool. One more question before we jump back into.
You can have 5 more questions. I'm not perfectly happy. Go ahead.
Actually, on that, I see that this is being recorded, and I don't know if other students are going to be watching saying, why is this guy talking so much? Or
No,
is it
they're
just
fine. You're
us
fine.
3? Okay.
Yeah, you're fine. You know,
Okay.
This is a live class, and you know, for every person that has an intelligent question like you've demonstrated tonight, there's 3 others that, man, I should have asked that question. Well, don't be shy, man. You're paying for this. Okay. All right. Are we on 5? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's do number 5, please. Okay. A broker's license application. Now, in our state, we have broker's licenses, and you could be a broker or associate broker. A broker is the one that has a trust account and is responsible for all the agents. An associate broker is kind of like the second level, which is a salesman. So you can be a broker or salesman. Salesmen don't have their own, you know, escrow accounts and trust accounts and that kind of thing. and they're responsible for their own actions, but not responsible for all the actions of the others in a company. But a broker is responsible for all the actions of all the agents underneath them. They should be monitoring their activities and teaching them and coaching them and mentoring them. And of course, we have trust accounts where we put earnest monies and whatnot into it. That's a broker. An associate broker is someone who has earned a broker's license, but chooses not to be the principal broker, the guy in charge. So really, you're kind of like an agent, but you could be a broker at any time you wanted to.
That's just more education and
More education and a little
experience.
tougher test. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's this. Okay. Got you.
And experience credits, which we'll be talking a little bit about that tonight.
Okay.
Well, we're talking about it right now. Broker's license application must include education certifying document, a passing score on a broker's exam, and one more thing, and that is 60 experience points documented. So not a notarized declaration of residency. You don't even have to be a Utah resident to have a Utah broker's license. Okay. I've had licenses in Montana, Colorado, and Utah all at the same time. They don't care about your driving history. And D, a recommendation from at least one buyer and one seller. Yeah, that'd be nice, but you should have testimonials, but this division doesn't want to hear about them. Okay.
So what defines an experience point?
There's a whole list of things, and you get points for different sales. You can get points for leasing. You can get points for activity. You can't just get a license and you have to have 36 months experience in order to apply for a broker's license. Okay. But in that 36 months, you got to actually prove you did something. You can't just sit on it and never sell anything or do anything. Okay, I want to be a broker now. They want to make sure you've been around the block and done a few things. Okay. And here's some of the things. Dan just pulled some up. You sell a 1-unit dwelling, you get 2.5 points. You sell a duplex or fourplex, you get 5 points. If you sell an apartment building, 10 points. You get 2 points for selling a lot. That's pretty good. Vacant land subdivision, 10 points. Okay. In commercial, you sell a hotel, a motel, you sell a warehouse, you sell an office building, a retail building, you get 10 points. So, in 3 years, let's say you sold, 6 buildings on a commercial side, you've got your points. You got 660 points. And then there's other things like table 2 is for leasing. If you are leasing office space or medical space and whatnot, you get points for the number of leases and whatnot. Now, what we're showing you, don't freak out on this, because no one's, you have to have a familiarization with this, where you could pick it out of a lineup. Okay. You don't have to know the right answer. You have to be able to recognize it.
So if I may, Rick, before we jump
Please.
into it, just to get the panoramic before we go to the specific, leasing transactions, and you had inquired if I was going to be doing property management, commercial, residential. I'm confused why leasing is part of this equation. Why would
leasing is a professional activity in real estate. Now, if you're thinking about leasing an apartment, that's part of it, or it could be a house. Or I spent many years, I've been kicking around for about 45 years in this business, and there were several years where I did only commercial. And in some of those years, I was working on large office buildings. I leased over on 13th East and 7200 South, the Union Park 2 building. I leased most of that building. And
when you're leasing, goes to you, the owner. So I have a rental property. I own a rental property,
right?
But you're saying some owners will go to an agent and say, "You lease this out for me," instead of doing it themselves.
Yeah. What if you got a tremendous job opportunity and moved to LA? Are you going to be able to handle that Salt Lake rental property on your own? No, you're going to probably the one you're living in and the one you also own, you would give that to a property management company and they'd take care of it for you. And whoever is doing the leasing and the turnovers and collecting the rents and whatnot, you can actually get points for that on a monthly basis. As you can see here, each unit lease, you get 1.2 points, so if you're leasing a 20 or 15 unit apartment building, you can actually rack up points. And, when I was doing commercial leasing, we were leasing 10,000, 20,000 square foot spaces, I mean, the commissions on those are quite large, you know, and if you're selling office build, you know, I sold, recently sold $1.7 million. That's just a few months ago, wasn't it, Dan? Yeah, a $1.7 million defunct Village Inn restaurant up in Northern Ogden, you know, on 21st, whatever it is, 21st North or whatever. But, you know, that was a nice commission. You know, I mean, you got, you know, 2.5% of $1.7 million, and then you split that a little bit with your broker. You know, so commercial real estate, you know, can be really lucrative, but even leasing, you know, just leasing properties, you should be able to make about 200 grand a year.
So I went to a rental, a property management company when I first got my rental property, and they said, you know, we'll charge you X amount and take X amount of your profit. But in order for them to do that as a third party, they have to be real estate agents.
They have to have a license. That's correct.
Okay, that was.
Well, they're a little. They don't know how to do Airbnbs. You know, I mean, that on Airbnbs, you know, there's a lot of controversy on it, and then finally they decided, you know, it's just like a motel. We don't require motel owners and people that are working in motels to have real estate licenses. So, you know, we're going to take Airbnbs and stick them over here, and that's not a licensed activity. Okay.
Okay,
so,
I got it now. I didn't realize that third-party leasing, property management people had to have a real estate license. Now I do, and now this, I can see how this falls into place. Right.
I have a good friend that owns a property management business in Lehigh called Parker Brown, and he, you know, I helped him get his real estate license. I helped him get his broker's license. He's made a fortune in real estate. You know, he's a multimillionaire now. He has about 25 agents that work for him, and, you know, they lease out properties and they do lots of different management and different things.
Okay.
You know, if you're managing 2,000 or 3,000 units, I mean, you just take a look at it, and it's really good. You know, it can make good money, but experience points, you have to have a feel for that. Okay. Okay. Great questions. Thank you. Number 6. An associate broker is eligible to become a what? Loan officer? Yeah, okay. Sales agent? Well, okay. Now remember, I said you're the principal broker, or the, you know, which we call the broker. You know, he has a trust account and he runs the company. He's responsible for the agents. And then I mentioned an associate broker was someone who has a broker's license, but really is just acting as a sales agent for that broker. Okay. So it's not the loan officer. You know, you don't have to be eligible to become a sales agent. You already have a principal broker's license. I mean, you know, but now you want to be an associate broker, and it's not a tax attorney, obviously. So it's principal broker. So one of the advantages of having an associate broker's license is if, you know, me and the broker get into a hassle or whatever, and she says, I don't love you anymore. And I said, well, I don't love you anymore either. You know, I could leave tomorrow and go start my own company because I have a what?
Broker license.
Broker's license. And so I would surrender my associate broker's license, do all the proper paperwork with the division, you know, which is just, you know, they like their fees and just little applications. And then I would change from associate broker to principal broker. And if I didn't want to do that, I go from principal broker back to associate broker, you know, if I wanted to. Okay.
Gotcha.
The thing about being a principal broker is, well, when you start getting your quarterly newsletters from the division, you can read those. You know, I mean, you've got enough to do just getting your 120 hours in. But once you're into business and practicing, they come out quarterly. They're emailed out. You really ought to read those. And, you know, everyone likes to go and read the disciplinary sanctions to see if which one of their friends got in trouble. But it's as a broker, that could affect you too. You know, if the investigators or the commissioners, you know, the 5 commissioners decided that, well, he's not, you know, or she's not watching over her people well enough, or she's teaching them the wrong things, then, you know, that could affect the broker. I mean, the broker could be fined, or if the broker colluded or hid or did things or told them to do the wrong thing, then and that could all be proven, the agent may get off. I mean, the broker told me to do this, and if you've got an email or something that would show that, well, okay, I have a young man that's dating my daughter, and he has a sales license, and he went to his broker, and the broker told him to do something that was wrong. I mean, and I said, hey, I got my first deal put together, and he didn't structure the agency properly. And I said, oh my gosh, didn't you went to him? I said, get that in an email. And say, broker, thanks so much for telling me to do it this way. It closed yesterday, and that kind of thing. And then hopefully he'll answer, or you've got some way of proving that you were, because a broker's supposed to know what they're doing too. But this guy is stupid. So anyway, let's go to number 7, please. Hopefully I'll never come back to haunt him. Okay, a sales agent will receive experience points towards a broker's license by doing which of the following? Well, one of the things is listing a property, and that's the right answer. Calling clients, no, they're not gonna, that's not detailed enough. Listing, you've got to do a lot of paperwork. There's a lot of documents that need to be filled out. There's a lot of, advice that they may ask you about, and you got to put it on the MLS, get it out on the market. Offers will start coming in. You've got to present those to the seller, and then you got to monitor the whole thing until it closes. Calling prospective clients, that's just prospecting. That's just selling, not listing a property. Organizing leads for the office, that's a clerk. Okay, buying a property for themselves outside their brokerage. Well, they're not going to give you experience point. I mean, I just need to go out and buy several apartment buildings, and I've got it. You got to be doing it for someone else. You got to be acting as an agent, not on your own, your own account. So anyway, so the correct answer to this one is listing a property that closes. And you may have noticed that, listing a residential property gives you 2.5 points. Okay, let's go to number 8, please.
Sorry, listing a property, is that sufficient, or does it specify that it closes for a reason?
Oh, just have to list it.
Okay.
Oh, that closes. No, yeah, it has to close. I'm sorry. Yeah, good catch. Listing a property that closes, that's what it says.
Okay, so listing it is insufficient for the experience points.
Well, if it doesn't ever sell, you didn't have the whole experience, and they want you to have the whole experience from A to Z all the way through. Okay. In this market, it's synonymous. I mean,
yeah, right. Hopefully.
Nothing expires. Okay, they all sell, and they're selling for prices over what it was listed for. It's a very, very interesting time. Number 8, please. Okay, here we go. When a real estate agent moves from one brokerage to another, who must notify the division of real estate? Because the division wants to know where you are at all times. So unless somebody tells them you moved, it doesn't come up on the radar like they want it to. So who do you think they're going to put that responsibility on? Well, for the test, the broker, the buyer, seller, they don't communicate with the division, hopefully. The business owner, D, no, it's either got to be the broker or the agent, but the responsibility falls on the shoulders of the agent. Okay. Because, I have broker friends that are running 300 agents, and so if one of them moved, maybe didn't get around to telling this broker. Anyway, there's emails that go back and forth from the division and the brokers, and they'll know, but still, for the test, it's the agent. Okay. Number 11, or no, I'm sorry, number 9. Okay. No, I already did that one. Number 10. Let's get my act together here. All right. Your license expired today before you submitted your renewal application. Hey, Dan, don't let me forget my license expires in April, okay? I got to get in there and get it done.
Hope you get enough CE.
Yeah, right. I always have more than enough CD, you know that. All right, so anyway, you may reinstate your license by paying the renewal fees, like you should have done, and a late fee for the next blank days. After that, the requirements change. They want even more stuff out of you. And if you wait a long time, they're going to say, well, it's too late. You got to go back and take the 120 hours again and take the test again. But this question, the correct answer is 30 days. Okay. So you got another month to get it in. And I think the penalty's $50, isn't it, Dan? Something like that.
I think so. I think it's still $50.
Yeah, I don't think they kicked that one up.
How long does a license last?
2 years. 2 years. Great question. All right, let's do number 11. What are the requirements for continuing education to renew a real estate license? Now, you'll be new, and new people have to take, they have special requirements. Experienced agents also have special requirements. In other words, you have to take some CE credit, but for new, they have certain categories you have to take. And for existing, there are certain classes you have to take as well. So with that in mind, what are the requirements for continuing ed to renew a real estate license? 12 hours every 2 years, including a core course, 6 hours every year, including core courses prepped by the real estate division, 18 hours of any approved subject plus the state's core course, 9 hours of core plus 9 more hours. Well, you don't know these because you haven't taken the class yet, but the correct answer is D. So core, there's special classes that they call core, and then there's other classes that are electives, okay? Core classes come from those special classes, and I served on the committee for the division a number of years ago where we expanded those classes. But the purpose of licensing is to protect the public. That's what the division's all about. We want to make sure that the public is protected and served. So we had, very narrow definition of what could be core, and agents were complaining that they're all boring classes and they wanted more topics. And so we expanded it to be other classes that we thought would protect the public. So it's real clear when you take a class, it's identified whether it's core or elective. But they have here they show, okay, you need 18 hours. It could be all 18 hours of core because they're all approved classes, or it's at least 9 and then 9 more of electives. A sample of electives is something like property inspection. What you normally get in a property inspection, or credit repair, is an elective class. Those types of things that are important, but they're not critical. And so what they do is the real critical thing, like contracts. So you take a class on contracts. Here's how to fill it out, and here's what to watch out for, and here's what not to do, and here's how to explain this. And that's a more fundamental core activity for our industry. So
okay, so 2 questions here then.
Okay.
The first, is it 9 hours plus 9 hours?
Is 18
for the 2-year period or per year?
The 2-year period.
For the 2-year period.
So it's not a big deal.
Yeah, and is that provided by my broker, or do I come back to the school to get that? Or
the school is always a great place to come back to get CE credit. Okay, we have online CE that's very convenient. You can take it at 2 a.m. if you wanted to. It bookmarks, so if you got an extra hour tonight, and you take an hour of a 3-hour class, when you come back to start it again, it starts where you left off. And it's just very convenient. But there's a lot of live classes around too that you can take. There weren't very many at all during COVID, but now that we're kind of out of that now, so there's a lot of live classes you can take, which are fun and they're more interactive. The Board of Realtors, if the Salt Lake Board, they have classes there all the time as well. Once you're plugged into the industry, you'll start getting emails from lots of providers. Say, come take my class. You'll really like it. Some of them charge and some of them don't. Some of them, like, a property inspector guy or a home warranty company, they may provide classes for you at no charges because they're, promoting their product to you. They want to be your friend, Now, as a new agent, there is a special class that you have to take called the 12-hour new agent course, 12-hour new agent course. And that would be one you have to take. And then and in addition to that, there's another one called the 3-hour mandatory course, which they came up with a few years ago. And the 3-hour mandatory course that all agents have to take every 2 years, not every year, but every renewal period of 2 years. Okay. That covers, recent changes and issues that the division is having trouble with agents. Agency is one of them. So they make you dig into agency again from a practical standpoint, not just what you learn to get through the test, and contract changes and law changes and other issues that they say it's important to the agents. This is brought to their attention. So for your first renewal, you're going to have to take the 12-hour new agent class plus the 3-hour mandatory class. That's 15 hours. So you only got, to meet your requirement, there's only just another 3 hours you'd have to take. And you'll have to take an ethics class at the Board of Realtors in order to be issued an MLS key. So, but you can take as many hours as you want. Dan was pulling my leg because he says, I hope you have your hours in, because he knows that I get about 50 hours every year because I take a lot of other classes from other instructors and, just to see how they're doing. Mm-hmm. And there's a lot of interesting topics. And I think that if you're getting into our industry and you're really serious about it, it's important that you master it. Mastery is real important. And the only way to master it is one of two ways. You do a whole lot of deals, and sometimes you screw up on them, or you take lots of classes and you still do a lot of deals, because you'll be taught things that will help you take classes. Like this young man is dating my daughter. Had he taken my new agent class, because I teach a 12-hour new agent class, and we have another one online that is convenient for people to take, but I teach mine live. And I get into not agency the way you learned it in real estate school to pass the test, but from a practical point of view, there's no way he would have screwed up on that. And when his broker said, we'll do it this way, he would have said, well, wait a minute, that doesn't feel right. And, I better call Rick, or I better call we have a legal hotline that he could have called, or he could have asked another agent in the office, and they say, why did he tell you that? He must be having a bad hair day. So, if something doesn't feel right, there's lots of places to reach out to.
Okay.
And brokers typically aren't that stupid either. This guy's just a knothead.
Care to divulge what brokerage that is?
I won't tell you.
I thought I'd ask. You change your mind. My question on that topic is, like I said, I've been doing the schooling for 3 weeks now.
Yeah, right.
And in those 3 weeks, I've had, 3 times that amount of brokerages reaching out to me.
Sure.
And really inundated me with, come join our
Come
Zoom
join us.
meeting.
Come join us.
Yeah.
We're wonderful. We have chocolate parties.
Right. There's a comedian that I got invited to for this week.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to go to these as possible, and still don't know what to ask or what to be looking for, but that is
on my
question
website.
to you.
I've got a video on my website called How to Choose Your First Broker, and what questions to ask. The thing that's most important is that you need to understand that any of these brokers will hire you. You're not applying for a job. They're not putting you on a payroll. Okay, they're sponsoring your license, and they're going to give you training, and they're going to give you supervision. But it's all up to you to make it happen. So what are they out? A lot of them don't even give you a place to sit. But it's they. We have a beautiful office. We're well located. We're well thought of. Blah blah blah. And it's there's lots of different things out there, but it's you'll be inundated, and it's going to get about the same or worse as time goes on, because they're all looking for agents. So it's anyway. Just don't go in there thinking you're applying for a job. You go in here and say, okay, I'm going to be a winner here, and or this is your attitude, but right. I'm serious about this. What are you going to give me? And they're not going to give you leads. You're going to have to develop your own business. It's, we can talk about this all you want. Dan, throw up my phone number for him. Okay. Okay, off video, okay? But there's a lot of different places you could go, but they'll all hire you.
Gotcha.
Right, Dan?
Well, yeah, you got the emails, that a lot of them are looking, but that's why
Yeah.
it's up to you to decide which one's gonna give you the value for your money.
Yeah, because you're going to give them a piece of your commission,
Right.
So, and it's going to be 3 years before you can get your own broker's license, and you can keep it all if you want to. But it's you only have one chance to choose your first broker. Oh man. Anyway, yeah, that wasn't even that funny. Let's look at number 12. To review a new real estate license, an associate broker must do all the following except, okay, complete 9 hours of core. Well, we know it's minimum of 18. Well, actually 9 hours of core. I guess I don't know, it's partially correct. See, to renew a real estate associate broker must do all the following except, okay, see, they do this all the time. They start you off in one direction, and then the last word changes the direction. Except, okay, complete 9 hours. Well, I got to do at least that or more. Provide proof of adequate experience points earned. Do you have to do that again every time you renew? No, you don't. Okay, that's the right answer. Complete 9 additional hours. Yeah, you got to do that, and you got to pay a fee. Okay, so this one wasn't that tough once you take the class. Okay, but provide proof of adequate experience points. You only do that when you get your first broker's license. Okay. I think the only disadvantage of having a broker's license, I think, is that the renewal fee is a little bit more, maybe 10 or 20 bucks or something.
How close to the actual test questions are these?
The concepts are very close.
Okay.
But as you go through the course, we have a number of school tests, and then we have other questions, and even on these live reviews, we have several questions that are very remarkably similar to what you may experience. Okay.
On these live reviews and on the practice exams that we do, we try and narrow it down to those questions that look like what you'll see on the license exam. So what we've gone over today and what you'll see in the practice exams at the end of the course, those should be pretty close to what you'll see on the actual exam.
Gotcha. Thank you.
You're welcome. Let's do number 13. A licensed timeshare salesperson can sell real estate if they register with the broker, notify the division, complete a real estate pre-license requirement, and get a real estate license. Okay. Have their license moved over. Okay. Timeshare people have a license. It's a timeshare license. To do it, they have no class. They have no test. They pay 50 bucks and they get one. Okay. Do you think they're going to let you sell real estate with that type of license, or do you think they're going to restrict you to timeshare only?
Timeshare only.
Timeshare only. Exactly right. Now, some of them are selling partial ownership interest. So they figured out that, they can sell the timeshares where you're selling points or a week or whatever, and that's cool. But they also figured out there's some people that want to buy the whole thing and pay, 600 or 800 grand or whatever they might have to pay, or they might want to buy a quarter share. So there's just 4 owners here, or that type of thing. And so now they're selling pieces of real estate. Okay. And so some of them do come back, take a 120-hour course and get licensed. And of course they would have to go under a broker, that's different than their timeshare guy, because the timeshare guy, he probably has a $50 license too. He's more of a sales manager. Okay. Right. So timeshare is a whole different category. Okay. And they did that a number of years ago because the timeshare people used to have to get a real estate license. And they started bitching and bitching and bitching. And the commissioner said, you know what? Timeshare is a lot different than real estate. You're learning a lot of stuff you're really never going to use. Let's just do a registration and let that go. And they did. So, but if they want to sell the partial ownership interest, fractional interest, then they have to, get a real estate license. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Other questions you may have.
70% pass requirement on both tests?
Yes.
Okay.
You will finish national, and then you'll get to go over and do the state. And we have, I mean, there's some students, particularly from other schools, that they'll pass national but flunk Utah law, or they'll pass Utah law and flunk national. When you go back, you only have to take the piece that you failed. Okay. But you don't want to do that. I mean, you have facial hair. I mean, you're macho, man. I mean, come on. Dan's macho, I'm macho, you're macho. You want to go in there, pass the test, and go out there and really hammer it and make it happen. The opportunities in real estate right now are absolutely phenomenal. I mean, it's just, every check is huge. I mean, it's just crazy. I mean, you get these $10,000 checks on a regular basis if you're doing deals.
Awesome.
Okay. Now, you will have a sales manager or a branch broker or a broker that will be watching over you, and hopefully they know what they're doing. And most of them are. Most of them really are. I've met very few of them that screw up. But when I was on the board of directors for the Salt Lake board, we had one guy. Not only was he giving his agents bad advice, he was teaching them to do things that were flat out wrong. And he was getting a lot of ethics complaints, and just at the board level. And so he'd come in, and we find him $500, and then we find him $1,000, and we find him $2,500, and then we find him $5,000. But the board, the National Association, State Association, and the Salt Lake Board of Realtors, we will never kick you out of the board. We want your dues in perpetuity.
Right.
We like having millions of dollars in our bank account. Okay. So we're never going to kick you out, and we're not going to turn you into the division either, because those are private meetings. However, you may have competitors or others you're working with, or working against, or working in competition with, that if they find out these things, that's why I told this young man stating my daughter keep his mouth shut, then they might turn you in, and then you'd be investigated. And the division, and there's a point why I'm telling you this story, because there's only one group that can take your license, and that's the people that gave it to you. Our private club, the Association of Realtors, we didn't give you your license. You got that from the real estate division. So who do you think can take it from you?
Real estate division.
The real estate division. And that's a test question, but it's, some agents get confused on that. We'll never kick you out of the board. Have you ever seen anyone kicked out of the board, Dan? I mean, you served on a board of directors of a board before. And
in my time in leadership, I have not seen anyone kicked out of the board.
Yeah, me either. I had a 5-year term. The only way you get kicked out of the board is if the division pulls your license, and they will kick you out of the board because you don't have a license, and you can't be a member of the board without a license. Okay. Unless you just want to be like a vendor member, which we call an affiliate member. And then we're happy to take your money too, but you're not selling real estate. You have a title company, or you're a lender, or you're a home inspector, or whatever, Okay.
Gotcha.
But the opportunities in our industry right now are absolutely phenomenal. There are things that are happening that, first year people are making 100 plus, I mean, you just need to work, and you need to know how to work and how to make it happen. And there's all kinds of people who'll be there to help you and back you up. Okay.
Cool.
Okay.
Sounds
What's
good.
your background?
I was a paramedic for 14 years, law enforcement for 7. And when COVID hit, things got a little unique in both those fields. So
Yes, they did.
it was a time for a change.
Yeah. Well, thank you for your service. That's fantastic.
Thank you for your support.
Yeah, I have a lot of friends in law enforcement, and uncles and nephews and whatever else. And I used to teach classes at Front Sight in firearms training. But
I just got back from there 2 weeks ago. I took my 5-year-old for the first time, and I've taken about 15 classes there. Better training than I got in police academy.
Oh yeah. Front Sight is phenomenal. Yeah, I was a line coach for years, and then they moved me up to instructor. But it's keep in touch with me, because I do. I'm looking for a couple of officers that want to do a realtor safety program. There's several of them out there right now, but they all suck. You know, it's just like the training you got, you know, at the department as compared to front site.
Yeah.
You know, someone ought to teach Colonel Cooper's color code, and someone ought to get them saying, you know, you never go, you know, because look, if you committed a crime in California, you know, you probably make it to Vegas. Maybe you want a new ride. You figure the, you know, the Bolton's out on that car. Who's going to meet you at a vacant house, has a decent car and credit cards?
People who want to buy.
No, a real stupid real estate agent. You're going to call them up and say, oh, I love this house. I'm sitting out in front of it. You know, I'm going to pay cash. You know, would you come out and show it to me? Oh, sure. I'll be right over. You know, and she's got that, you know,
I met her not too long ago. Actually, I was looking at another property. Another officer that I knew said that he had a niece, and show up with her, a cute young girl. I'm like, you have no idea who I am. Like,
yeah, that's exactly right. And she probably didn't tell anyone she's going to go sell it, you know, show that house.
Yeah.
She had no safety word. She had no, oh, hey, I need to call, and, you know, it just, you know, I feel uncomfortable. You know, would you get out here? You know, you either hurt them, tie them up, kill them, whatever. I had one of my students just not that long ago. I mean, maybe 2 years now, serving an eviction notice, and they killed him.
Oh.
Put him in a closet, stole his Escalade. Well, they're really smart criminals. They called their buddy to come get the Escalade and ditch it, but he was having so much fun driving it around. Eventually, his wife called and said, "Hey, my husband's, you know, gone, and something's weird, and, you know, could you check into it?" And I don't know. It was really sad. A beautiful family, but he should have never gone to house alone. And I mean, there's so many different things. He shouldn't have, you know, you know very well. He should have watched for their hands. They're not teaching this in these stupid realtor safety courses. They're teaching them this, you know, watered down crap that, you know, is not going to save your butt, you know. And so I want a couple of officers to put together a real realtor safety class, you know, and I'll help you with it, whatever. But, you know, if you want to do something like that, you know, that'd be really cool.
It sounds fun. I got to know this girl, this young real estate agent, and I teach concealed carry for the state of Utah, and I gave her my card, and
yeah,
occupational hazard. I'm like, I know she doesn't have a plan B on her person if I were a bad guy. So it's a different world. I understand it's a different mindset
I know,
from where I come from.
But still, I mean, wake up, okay? Look, we had a unit overturned in a riot not that long ago here in Salt Lake City.
Yep.
People rolled over a cop car. Are you kidding me? That is not supposed to happen here.
I have a picture of that I use for my PowerPoint.
Yeah, but if you're in Vegas, your next, and you know, you're heading either north or south, doesn't matter. Your next stop, the next clean car you probably want to get is in Salt Lake.
Yeah.
Or maybe Cedar City or something. But, you know, I mean, it's just like you go from this to this, and, you know, I mean, who's going to come in a decent car with credit cards and the whole 9 yards, and it's not going to be missed. You know, whether you don't kill them or you don't harm them, you're just still going to tie them up, stick it in a closet. You know, hopefully someone else shows the house pretty quickly, but who knows? Or you stick them in the trunk of the car. I don't have to tell you, because you lived it. Okay.
Yep.
Hey, thanks for being here. Thanks for your service. We appreciate you. See you later, man. Thanks.
All right. Take care. Thank you, gentlemen.